Are we doing our countdown? Nope.
Nope, we are live. I didn't get our countdown up in time. I was trying to put it on. So we're live on reckless speculation and early entry. And, of course, not joining us yet is Raj Mehta. Boys, what are we going to do with Mr. Late Raj?
Well, I'm going to bet your nuts every week on that Raj is going to be late, and we're going to start taking a pool here.
Hey, if what we need to do is install the John Coughlin rule. If you show up on time, you're 15 minutes late. So he'd be 20 minutes late at least every show.
We're going to have to come up with a good practical joke to play on him at some point. But Robbie, before we get around to everybody, Robbie, you have breaking news right now as we get there.
Yes. So I'm not the source of this information, but the Twitter machine seems to have announced it. But yeah, Notre Dame has hired their defensive coordinator, Marcus Freeman. We'll get into that in a little bit about good move, bad move, great move, idiotic move. A little bit of everything, but that seems to be official. Word is the players really wanted him. The commits were weighing whether to transfer or not, and everyone seemed to be on board with the athletic director. And so as we stand, Notre Dame has its coach.
Also, Robbie, and we'll get into that a little more, and we'll probably touch this later too. And I think this is a tragedy. It's really not part of the show, but I really think this has an opportunity to affect the future of Major League Baseball. We are about 4 hours from a lockout in Major League Baseball, guys. I think any kind of work stoppage, any kind of ridiculousness that gets to the spring, they've got to get this solved. Baseball's in enough trouble as it is, isn't it, guys? Brandon?
Yeah, I totally agree. They've got to fix it and fix it quick. I mean, we just saw, one of my favorite World Series I've seen in a long time. And if you're not bringing fans back in at this point, I mean, you've got to fix this because you're on that, side of top of the fence where you can go one way or another. And if you don't fix it and get fans back in, you're in big trouble.
Robbie, it was a great World Series. A lot of eyes on the product. I thought baseball had a great moment. All that can be wiped out. You can't even sign free agents. The Braves don't have it done with Freddie Freeman. He's locked out until after this.
Of all the criticism that I've given baseball since the show has started, they were in the negotiating room for 7 minutes before they walked out at an impasse. Do you know how hard that is to be that stubborn and just come there without good faith? And what really bothers me, these are billionaires fighting with millionaires. And I do not know the intricacies of it, how this trickles down to minor league. I was too young when the last lockout. Does that shut down all baseball? Like the lookouts can have a season if they all. So after COVID and after them missing all these seasons, this wasted time and all this money they just put into these things, and for these millionaires and billionaires to be so, I get it. Everyone wants to make money. Everyone has their right to do that, and everyone has their negotiating position. But come in good faith. To come in there 7 minutes, and if you shut this down, college football, the NFL, blood's in the water. And they recovered last time. But if you lose your fan gate, you've already lost your huge TV ratings for the regular season. If you lose that fan gate, everyone's losing a lot of money on this.
I went through the last baseball lockout, and I'll tell you to the point that occurred in '94. I was a season ticket holder for the Braves. Did I make all 82 games? No. But did I make 40? Yes. When I didn't go, did my friends like you guys, you were too young at the time, but my network of friends, somebody was at every game. my buddy Brett, who lives in Atlanta, just texted me today. Goes, if they lock this out right now, they're about to lose another generation of baseball fans, and I don't think they can afford it. 94, it really took Cal Ripken breaking the single game streak of Joe DiMaggio in 95, then Sosa and McGuire in 98.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that may have saved the game at the time.
That's what brought me back was that home run chase. And brought me back is a strong word. I'm happy the Braves won the World Series. But yeah, I mean, I would consider I'm a floater fan. I mean, it's just that damage is still done for me. And I was 10 when it happened. But yeah, to miss the season for just no reason. Like every other league has billionaires and millionaires fighting it out, and they all get it together. Look what it did to the NHL. The NHL, it crushed the NHL for a decade. And with everyone's attention span shrinking and shrinking and shrinking, baseball can't do this.
All right, guys, we're going to move on to our regular show, but I was going to throw one more thing out with baseball. Has the NBA now moved into – my theory is where we live, it's NFL football, college basketball, NBA, and MLB. It's about the fifth kitchen getter around here. But in the world, in the U.S., coast to coast, I think the NBA is clearly passed MLB as the second most popular sport. How about you guys?
Brandon?
Yeah, I 100% agree. I watch way more NBA than I do MLB. I'm just, maybe I played college baseball, but I also played basketball in high school. I realized, I'm 5 foot nothing. I'm not going to make anything out of that. So, but playing the sport and watching it and watching NBA, I mean, these guys are so athletic, and it's another level. I really enjoyed watching NBA. Especially back in the day, when Jordan and that whole run. Obviously, he's the GOAT. There's no question there. So I'll leave it at that.
Robbie, you are the guy here on this subject.
I mean, clearly the NFL's leaps and bounds. I think still nationwide, I think college football is above NBA. But yeah, NBA has surpassed Major League Baseball. And partly is because, well, one, like Brant said, the athletes are incredible. You get to know the players. They get to have fun out there. And man, you have Turner does such a great job. You have you'll stay on TNT during halftime to watch Barkley, Shaq, Kenny, and Ernie. Like they're just fun, and they aren't overly serious, and they're just entertainment. Sports is entertainment, and the NBA has got that way more than baseball has. Baseball will not embrace it's an entertainment industry.
And I also think baseball has lost its foothold in the inner city America. You don't go inner city and find baseball fields anymore. You don't find great players. You don't find a Dave Winfield who chose MLB over football and basketball. You just don't have those. And the great players are not American. I mean, I love the Braves run, but it was led by, of course, Freddie Freeman, and then all these
Soler,
all these guys were Latin American. So it really has lost an American feel to it to me. So
yeah, well, I think one of the things about that is kids these days, athletes these days, you parents, coaches, they look and see what are your best attributes. Like Brandon just said, he was maybe better at basketball than he was at baseball. But hey, you're 5'8", 5'9", there's no sense wasting time playing basketball. You go to the sport you're most likely to make it in. And that's what these kids do. Like Allen Iverson, he said it recently. He was much better at football. He liked football more. But at that time, a 6-foot quarterback they wouldn't draft him. Now it's changed. He may be good. But so they focused all your attention to basketball. And that's what these kids are doing. Because who knows who's going to be good at baseball, at age 12. And by 12, if you're athletic and you got those kind of gifts, they're pushing you to one sport and you're focusing on that.
So before we get to college football, I will say I did talk to someone that recruited Allen Iverson as a football player, and he said he was Michael Vick before there was a Michael Vick. So, yes, he would have been an NFL player. Shane, you had something to add to finish this up there?
No, I was just going to say, also you got to look at the longevity of the sport you're choosing too, nowadays. Like you look at, which is actually baseball is one of them. Baseball makes some of the biggest contracts, which I'm sure we'll get into later. You make some of the most money in the longevity of the sport. Football, you got guys retiring, running backs retiring at 28, 32. That's just the longevity is just not there. And, they might have made, 50 mil in their stint. But you got people making $230 million, on a 6-year contract or something in baseball or basketball or, so I think, and even golf, golf's a longevity sport as well. So you gotta take that into account too, with your attributes and, your athleticism. I would err towards looking at, what you can play the longest to make the most money out. So
it's a lot longer road to get to the pros in baseball than the other sports.
It is. It's same as golf and baseball. It takes a long time to get there. But once you do, the longevity of it is there. But yeah, you're right. Look at the Titans. They've got guys we're pulling off the streets right now, warm bodies just to show up. So
the best deal about the baseball contracts is not only are they fully guaranteed, but they're later in your career. So instead of being rich AF when you're 20 or 21, you're rich AF when you're 26, 27. Right. Hopefully you have a little bit more maturity on what to do.
You paid your dues. What is it? Was it Bobby Vanilla Day that we call every year?
Yeah, yep. Still getting $1 million a year.
I'm surprised the Mets didn't have him off before that.
Welcome to the show.
Oh, hey.
Hey. How's it going, buddy?
Actually, you want to see how big of a dumbass, a moron I am? When you have Gmail, you know how if it's in a thread, it's the same one. So I inadvertently clicked on last week's thread. So I'm just sitting there going, Randall must not be. And then I looked, it said ended like an hour, 52 minutes ago.
Every week.
Yeah, but it comes up. It's not the same one. It's a new link. And so when I looked, I'm like, oh, you dumb. And so then I finally was able to get in. But I was just twirling my thumbs like, man, they just must really not want to talk to me today.
Well, two things can be true.
No doubt about that. What's up?
Oh, just talking a little baseball lockout and everything. Randall said he was had some internet connection issues. Weird. So I'll take charge and kind of narrate or navigate. First thing we're going to talk about, and Shane has his OSU shirt on, so let's talk about the game.
I thought you were going to talk about Scherzer and how stupid the Mets are. But sorry. Let's go back to the big
it's
game.
It's about to be a lockout. We'll
get there.
Anyway. So, Brandon, we'll start with you. Michigan, Ohio State. What happened? Thoughts, takeaways?
Oh, thoughts. I've got so many. I could spend an hour on this topic. So, I hate to say it, but first off, we got outcoached. I never thought Harbaugh was that. Yeah, for sure. especially after the Michigan State debacle. But we did. We got out coached. They just dominated the line, man. I mean, both sides of the ball. We all of a sudden tried to establish some kind of run game. We're one of the top, if not the top, passing offense in the country. And we've got 3rd and 7s, 3rd and 9s, and we're trying to run the ball. That's just a whole nother thing. But, their defensive pass rush was all over us. They ran the ball down our throats. It was like they watched the Oregon film, and Ryan Day did not. Kerry Combs did not. We're sitting here in a nickel and dime package trying to protect pass, and they're taking chunk yards, 7 yards a game, running the ball down our throats. And I just could not fathom why we would not put 8 men in the box, play man-to-man, and let's go. Like, put your pass rushers up there. It was sickening to watch. It looked like, week 2 all over again. And yeah, oh man, I was upset for sure.
We were a little worried about you in your basement.
I wanna jump in here. After we got Raj on, it knocked the server out. So when you're late, sometimes you just put us down. So
You're welcome.
Welcome, Raj. Every week, knocking us out, but it's okay. I appeared I appeared on one of the Big Ten shows before the game, Brendan, and I'd like to get your opinion along with everybody else. I called this a bell cow game for Michigan, for Harbaugh. Do you think there was some motivation for Michigan that Ohio State just got to the point where they felt like they could roll the football out and beat Michigan, and Michigan came with just sometimes you show up that right attitude and you play hard. And to me, as not a Michigan or Ohio State fan, watching it from a box at Neyland Stadium, I just felt like Michigan played harder and with more desire than Ohio State.
I think as you watch the game overall, Michigan did. I don't think so in the first half. I think it was a battle. I don't think you were on here. I said for the first time ever in my life, and it makes me sick to my stomach, but Harbaugh outcoached Ryan Day.
He definitely adjusted.
And we did not. We did the same. It completely baffled me. Larry Johnson, I don't know what he was doing. I don't know what Kerry Combs was doing. We're sitting in a nickel and dime package the whole day and not 8 men in the box stopping the run. What's his name? I can't even remember his name. Ran for 165 yards and 5 touchdowns on us. It was the Oregon game, week 2 all over again. Made me sick to my stomach. I watched it twice. I cried both times almost. So,
Robbie, were you able?
Yeah, so I'm assuming you asked were I able to watch it, what I thought. I'll tell you. I was able to watch most of it. I got home, I think, a little bit midway through the first quarter, coming back from the Knoxville basketball game. My first thoughts were, and I think our fantasy group chain was everyone big on Ohio State. So my first thoughts was wow, didn't see this coming. And then the more I watched the game, Harbaugh just essentially said, we're going to do what Oregon did and see if they're going to change. And they did exactly what Oregon did. We're going to keep running. If you don't alter what you're doing and you're giving us the play, we're going to keep taking it over and over and over again. And that's what they did. And this is going to be a theme when we get to the next game of our day. Like Oregon or Ohio State showed us kind of who they were during the Oregon game, and it just took Michigan to replicate that same philosophy. A lot of other teams could have did. They just tried to lineup. And yeah, I agree. I think Ryan Day is a hell of a coach. I'm still not sold on Harbaugh in college, but man, yeah, I mean, he just came with a better game plan. And I don't know if it was the line of scrimmage, Michigan dominated both sides, but I don't think it was effort. I think it was just schematics.
Yeah.
Raj, Mehta, welcome to the show, man.
Thank
That
you.
Big Ten battle, that really, to me, and I think Robbie made the point, I had christened, and in a text with Shane, I had christened Ohio State the national champion. I thought they were playing the best football anybody in the country. But I guess that's the reason we sit up here and talk about it and don't coach. What was your gut impression?
Absolutely. I was with family up in Knoxville, scenic Knoxville. And what I did see, I was floored. I also thought it would be 1 versus 2. May as well write them in, Michigan and Ohio State. I was obviously wrong. It looked like they had switched jerseys. Michigan had way less penalties. Ohio State had 10. I think Michigan had 3 or 4. Michigan had 294 yards rushing to 64. And it looked like Maurice Claret and Trey Sermon and Jim Otis, Robert Smith, Beanie Wells. Looks like all those guys. It looked like Ohio State football. Eddie George, Ezekiel Elliott, Archie Griffin. But that's what it looked like. They just ground and pounded them. I saw some scheme stuff, but they just ran there over. Hassan Hatkins was a beast. Went 28 for 169 yards. If you can run and win the line of scrimmage and just run over people, chew up clock, and not have penalties or turn the ball over, you're going to win. Another interesting fact that I saw is C.J. Stroud had another good game statistically. I don't know what their third down conversions were, but he threw the ball 49 times. His average yards per pass was 8.0. Michigan, who had like 200 yards total, their crummy quarterback's average yards per pass was 9.5. So Stroud isn't risking anything. He's not throwing anything downfield, nor do you have to with those 3 receivers. But he's just dumping it and be like, all right, let's see what happens. So he's not making throws that are going to, change the game. He's not making anything downfield. And Michigan knew that. They were just sitting on it. Yeah, you can have your 10 yards here, but not that there. And I can't believe Harbaugh outcoached him, but he did. I was shocked.
Hey, by the way, everyone, I just want to say thank you to Raj. He bought all of my pre-dinner drinks Friday night. We were having double, I think, vodka and sodas, I believe is what it was. But I want to ask a question because you were about 30 to 40 minutes late for dinner. Where did you go and how was dinner and how did your wife react?
I timed it perfectly. As I was walking out, she was ordering food to go. So I put in my order. I picked up my food and we left. They were all at that point pretty sauced. So I don't know. They may have thought I was at the end of the table. I doubt it. But, myself and some of her family, like her sister and I, are very similar and we don't get along a lot of the time. So I don't think she was shedding any tears. So, yeah, I mean, she wasn't mad at all. And I was ecstatic. I got good food and I just took it straight back to the room. And I was
I had
tilt
Nama
from us.
I had Nama that night for my first dinner and then McDonald's for my second dinner.
Guys, before we go away from Ohio State,
I was going to say one more thing, too, real quick, Randall, if you don't mind. Raj, to your point, with the dink and dunk with C.J. Stroud, the defensive line was getting pressure. So he didn't have a whole lot of time back there. I mean, they're also being in the big house, crowd noise that played a factor for sure. There were 5 false starts, drive killers. We're 2nd and 6, 2nd and 5. false start, backs us up, killing drives, and they sacked him 5 times. So there was a little bit
fair.
to
He
that.
usually is a 10 yards.
He's usually, if he's got a 5-step drop and he's got 2.5, 3 seconds, he can usually find somebody, especially with those
That's fair.
receivers. So
All
to
right.
your
All
point,
the more
I'm gonna
evident that Michigan was really dominating.
dominant. Yeah,
I haven't
100%
seen that
dominant.
since
Get my question
Desmond
out now.
Howard. I haven't seen that
Hey,
since Desmond
at least
Howard.
we're a rivalry again.
So I was
We are
going to
now,
ask you a
yeah.
question. Give me your final thoughts, and Shane jumped ahead because that would have been his final thought. Give me your final thoughts
Yeah.
on this game. And does Michigan get it done in the Big Ten Championship and get to the playoffs this weekend? We'll start with Rod, Brandon, and then Robbie.
Hassan Haskins and yes. Haskins and yes. Those are my 2 thoughts.
Brandon.
That's it.
Yeah, it's Iowa. Yeah.
Yeah,
Robbie
I
Davis.
agree. As much as I'd love, I'm just pissed that they wore blue pants. That just really frustrates me. But yeah, I think Michigan does get it
that did
done.
suck.
And but then I think that they come to, so they would be the 2 seed again.
Play Bama, maybe. Or Cincy.
Or Georgia,
Oregon State.
Yeah, so
Bama's
it'll
gonna
be.
Yeah, we're going to get into that. We'll get into that.
Yeah. So yeah, I think Michigan gets in.
Okay. Let's jump over to the almost upset. Auburn had a 1-yard chance to put Alabama away.
Moron.
Alabama, to their credit, I've heard everybody destroy Alabama over this game. To Alabama's credit, down by 10 points in a rivalry game, late in the game, somehow they hold on and win. So, let's start there. Does losing close to Auburn now take away all of Alabama's margin of error, and now they must beat Georgia to get into playoffs? Robbie Davis, we'll let you go first.
Well, it depends on what everyone else does. I think Alabama's got the most 2-loss credibility, but I don't think they deserve it. But I think they just have it because that's just the brand name, and I've talked about this over and over. As a TV show, Alabama getting in would be good for business. But I mean, Alabama's been this way all year long. They almost lost to Florida, who's terrible. They almost lost to LSU. So they almost lost to Florida, fired their coach. Almost lost to LSU, fired their coach. They almost lost to Arkansas, a solid team. They almost lost to Auburn. Granted, there's no shame in playing a close game with Jordan Hare. There's not. But against the backup or third-string quarterback and just not getting anything till the 4th quarter, that shows just some problems with their offense. And problems with offense running into Georgia's defense is not what you want. I will never count out Nick Saban because that's like betting against LeBron James. It's a fool's bet. But with that being said, I just don't see how Alabama wins this game unless there's a lot of turnovers. Am I willing to say they're out? It was a loss. I think so, but let me see where the other dominoes fall. I know that, Notre Dame's sitting there with 1 loss, but they lost to Cincinnati. The committee said it. We're going to take into account that a coach not being available is one of the criteria. I think they just said Notre Dame's not getting in.
I think you're right. Brendan Shane. Is it Okie State if Alabama loses?
I think so. I think it should be too. If they beat Baylor, these last 2 signature wins against Oklahoma, Baylor, strong resume at the end, and being a Power 5 conference, I think they should be. Bama they looked like they were just hanging on by a thread. I mean, they got dominated the entire game until, what was it, 2.5 minutes in the fourth quarter. They come to life a little bit. I think Auburn might have relaxed slightly and thought they had the game in the bag. But like Robbie said, never count Saban out. I don't know what he told his players on the sidelines, but those guys really amped up. And it was down to the wire, 4 overtimes. In that situation, it's a rivalry game. You got to sometimes throw a record out the window, especially this year for Bama, because Bama's defense has been atrocious. Auburn's been patchy at times, but they ramped up for this game, just like Michigan was for Ohio State. So you look at those factors in Jordan Hare. I mean, this is ride or die, for Auburn, and they put it all out there. I think they did get a little too lax there in the last 2 minutes of the
kid doesn't run out of bounds, they win.
I know, what a dumb play. I mean, just dumb. But he said, she said, they could have went for 2. Whatever. End of the day, somehow Saban pulls it off. Bama pulls it off when they shouldn't have. And if we do a bet your nuts later, one of them's going to be having to do with one of that team for sure.
Kids and coaches these days do not play enough Madden football about clock management, possession. We learned this stuff early on.
Early on.
All right,
come on,
Mehta,
now.
You're always the voice of reason. Is there any way Alabama gets in with a loss in the SEC championship game?
No. And I thought they were going to lose this game, and I just couldn't wait to have them not part of the picture. All new blood: Georgia, Oklahoma State, Notre Dame, speaking of Brian Kelly, and Cincinnati. That'd been awesome, man. Just not the same players. It was an ugly game. Nobody was particularly good on offense. Nobody was particularly good on defense. I thought Alabama was going to crush in the sense that Finley is not a good quarterback. You know what he's going to do. They know they're giving the ball to Bigsby, and yet they still did what they had to do. What, a 5-5 team without their starting quarterback? Alabama had 11 penalties for 129 yards. That's not very Saban-esque compared to 7 for Auburn. Time of possession was about the same. Everything else about the same. It was just a gross game. And the last thing it proves in my eyes is that Alabama's players are human, but that Nick Saban is still God.
Yeah, think about this. They're 11-1, and everyone's being like the sky is falling. Like the enormous pressure. These are freshmen. The enormous pressure that they're under to win a championship or bust. Like I'm not an Alabama fan. Obviously, I wish they'd lose every game, but I do feel for the players. Like, man,
I know. Did you guys see that one interview with Saban? It was, I don't know if it was like at a booster meeting or something, but he was talking about that same situation. Yeah. And he was just like, you guys, want to hang us out to dry. He's like, these are kids out here, the
like,
amount of pressure they have.
Y'all were going through coach after coach after. You were Tennessee before he got there.
So
pump your brakes.
Let's hit the game. There was 2 things that stood up in my mind. One, it's been 92 games since Alabama's been an underdog. 92 games. Number 2, is there any reason for the SEC to want Alabama to win so they have 2 in? I'm not setting up a conspiracy theory, but there's a late flag, personal foul, roughing the passer. If there's a mystery call in this game, the whole world will be set off that the SEC set it up. But I think Vegas is begging you to take Georgia a gambling friend of mine called me just before the show and said, to me, this looks like a Vegas setup where they're just take Georgia. And he said every time it looks that way, his move is to take the other side. Anybody got any love for Alabama plus 6 points this weekend? Robbie Davis, first up.
Well, let me touch on your first point. Is there any reason for the SEC to want to have two teams in? Yeah. A lot of money. That's
Tie
number
game.
one. Vegas is wanting you to jump on Georgia. It opened at 4. It's already up to 6.5 last time I looked. Yeah, that's not by accident. They want you that was purposely set there to put the money on both sides. Make a case for Alabama. They always win these games. I mean, so I've been back and forth on this. So, two things. Theory A. So, why Alabama could win and why they may not win. Kirby has been with Nick for so long. Nick's won 3 SEC championships at Alabama and 6 national championships. If you're on that standard, the SEC championship does not matter because Georgia's in no matter what. So
Right.
they can go out and say, "Hey, here's our second string players. We're in."
What was that stat you told us that they have 7 titles but only 4 SEC championships, something like that?
Saban's got
3 and 6.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
at Alabama, he's got 3 and 6. He won the SEC and the championship at LSU. So Kirby can look at that and say, I don't need this. Football. I'm going for my next goal. And so that's when do they hide things? Do they wait? They haven't been challenged in a while. On the flip side of that, Kirby's got the better team. Do you get Saban out of there as quick as possible? Because what you don't want is Saban in and having a month to prepare. And, what if he's paired up against Cincinnati in the first round? And then, man, it's all systems a go against me. So I can see that. So my case for Georgia putting the stomp on their throat, or you can see a case for Georgia saying, hey, we don't need this. Alabama's desperate.
I agree with that logic. I could see them, not second string guys, but, just a very simplistic game plan where it's, run, pass, punt, here it is. If we beat you, we beat you. If not, who cares? Not try to lose, but not really pull out all the stops and try to win. I could totally see that out of Kirby Smart because just like you said, SEC championship doesn't mean anything right now.
No, he doesn't. Georgia will crucify him if he wins the SEC championship and loses in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, what does it? What does it matter? What does it matter? You're the number 1 seed. You're undefeated. Who cares? So I totally agree with that. But I just don't think. I don't know what that feedback. There's some bad feedback going on right now.
Is that you, Randall?
I don't know. I don't think
it was.
I don't think even if they keep, I think Georgia's got the better team. I don't think Alabama can win it this year. I mean, versus Michigan, versus Georgia for sure. Hell, Cincinnati might even beat them. I just, after that last game and the implosion, and people are going to study that film.
Yeah.
So
the big thing that really wrinkles my theory on Georgia not trying is if they don't and they lose, it's going to be Georgia Alabama's a 2-3 seed. And
absolutely.
So it'll be a rematch the very next game. So that I think Kirby would want to avoid that.
You're right.
I still think this year Georgia's got the better athletes.
Yeah, that is true.
So I mean.
We need to get on down the line, guys, and we got to get on to the coaching carousel here. And since we've got Raj with good signal right now, Raj, whatever you did, just fixed your signal, so you're on solid now. I want to go to the coaching carousel right now. Let's start Raj is a lifetime USC fan. USC makes a huge splash with hiring Lincoln Riley. Raj, under 5 minutes, tell me why you're doing your happy dance.
Well, today we got the number 2 quarterback in the country to flip from Oklahoma, Malachi Nelson. That's presuming Arch Manning is number 1. Malachi also plays with Mekhi Lemon at Los Alamitos in Orange County. He's a 5-star as well. It's probably a matter of time. They also play with a 5-star running back, Raleek Brown. And on the day that Riley was hired, there was an in-home with Raleek Brown, and they put it on Twitter. I'm ecstatic. I mean, it's obviously this is the best news we've heard since a Rose Bowl win, not this one with Darnold, the one Mark Sanchez in 2009 when we had like 8 consecutive 11-win seasons. Lincoln Riley, I mean, I've heard whispers, but honestly, it's a dream come true. Young and aggressive and just a brilliant offensive mind. Obviously sustained the program when Stoops left, 55-10 during those years. And he brought his own players in. They weren't all just Stoops. We thought it was going to be Matt Campbell from Iowa State, Dave Aranda. There were whispers of other coaches. We weren't thrilled. People said initially James Franklin, to which I would jump off a building. It happened. First of all, I have to thank Oklahoma State. Thank you, Oklahoma State, for winning Bedlam, for beating Oklahoma. Because without that, this probably isn't happening. USC had already been in contact with Riley's agent, but it didn't get serious until Sunday morning after the Oklahoma State win. And they kept going back and forth. Now, mind you, USC is a private university, so they're under no obligation to release, how much they actually paid him and what they've done. There have been rumors that he paid off both houses. They paid off, X amount of money, families in private schools. Nobody really knows, truthfully, because USC is not going to say that. But also it took a guy like Lincoln Riley. He said it himself. He loves challenges. His family's young. They can move. They can go somewhere else and try another thing. They weren't going to spend the rest of their life in one place, whether that's Norman or not. So, yeah, he's bringing a great staff with him. I hope that current interim coach Dante Williams stays. He's the DB coach. That's all he should be, and he's a phenomenal recruiter. Now they have Dennis Simmons, the Oklahoma assistant coach and recruiter, who's amazing as well. So it's like finally the sun shined on us after 13 years in the dark. I'm ecstatic, and it's good for the Pac-10 too, or Pac-12. A marquee name, and people aren't just going to let SC walk all over them again. I think a lot of people are going to start coming this way once again, and it won't be just Oregon. So, yeah, we were shocked. I was watching the Red Zone, and Andrew, what's his name? He announced it. Breaking news from college football. And when he said it, I was like, I had to rewind it 3 times. Rewind. And then I just did a backflip mentally. It was just after the UCLA loss, and all that stuff you could wipe clean. They're playing a makeup game this Saturday against Cal. Nobody cares. We all wanted them to cancel it, but there's still money in it for the network, even though 18 people will be there. I don't even care who's playing. We got Lincoln Riley. I think he's the best coach of all these guys getting hired, and I still am ecstatic. And talking about it makes my day.
All right, Raj. You're going to have to stay on mute while the bad comes, because the bad's coming right now.
The defense crap. That's not.
Is there any truth?
Nothing.
Is there any truth that Lincoln Riley pulled a Bobby Bowden and wanted to avoid the SEC Robbie Davis?
No.
Well, hold on.
It's not a Randall theory. It's been floated.
No, by SEC people.
Well, all right. So I've got this. I've got that. I'll address this first. I'll answer your question, and then I'll go back to big
Get
picture
over
of what it means.
yourselves.
LSU
The right way in the camera
is
on or
the best job in college football. All things being equal. Right
Am I
now,
muted?
no, it is not being equal because that's the toughest division in sports. He could have went there, but I don't think he necessarily avoided the SEC. But I think what he saw is what Clemson's
Get over
doing
yourselves.
and saw, hey, here's still Southern Cal. You have to understand, it's easier to win there. And that USC money that they threw at him allegedly, the Pac-12, the talent, I think he is going to dominate. And here's my reckless speculation. The Pac-12 commissioner comes from a casino entertainment background. I think he reached out to USC and said, hey, no more of this rinky-dink hiring. You guys have the money. We need you. If we're all going to survive, we need you. And this sets up for a decade-long USC and Oregon power grab. Two programs that good coaches, good athletes, good money, entertainment, and they're going to put the Pac-12 championship back on the map. They're going to be rivals in season. They're going to meet over and over and over again in the Pac-12 championship. This is going to put the Pac-12 back in the playoff picture. And with the transfer portal, I think he's going to do it quickly. I don't know if he was necessarily scared of the SEC. I think he said, hey, I think he said,
You guys are funny.
what I've got at
What a
Oklahoma
joke.
with not too much to play against, one or two hard games a year, I can do that same thing in Southern California. I mean, it's human nature. Why would you, if I'm successful doing what I'm doing, why not replicate it at a better place as opposed to do what you're doing into a harder place? It's human nature.
All right.
He's 0-4 in the playoffs. Not just against the SEC, 0-4 once he gets there. I think he's a great coach, but he doesn't – nobody wants that every year. If the pay is equal, why would you take the same money for a harder job when you have the same money having an easier life?
Get over yourselves. First of all,
I'm just asking. I mean, I'm asking Raj.
SEC person.
Raj, would you ever get paid equally and work harder, or would you get paid equally and have an easier life?
I don't think. I think we got to make sure you realize the word I used, Raj. He avoided it.
No,
so
and
I don't think there's no.
That
argument
was floated around by SEC people. I get it on like Fine Bob and stuff. That's all you got is that sense of pride, because football means more here. Well, that's because everything else. Well, that's the only thing. Lincoln Riley, when he was asked about this, started laughing. He literally started laughing. It's such nonsense. I mean, if a crappier program like A&M can go to the SEC and do fine and actually beat Alabama and others, then I assure you, the Oklahoma Sooners, who are one of the winningest programs in the last 10, 15 years, would have no problem. Get over yourselves. Go to the next topic.
So just some interesting OU stats.
It looks. You can't compare apples to oranges. You know that. You're smart enough. Honestly, it's reflecting on you guys, and I think people are laughing at you and anybody else who suggested such a thing. I think people feel better about that.
Job
it's not a big deal. Look at the SEC this year. There's one good team. Everybody else is dog shit. It doesn't matter. Alabama.
How many good teams in the Pac-12? Can you?
I don't care.
Count
Nobody said that we were avoiding. See, no one.
I'm loving this. This is
you are
amazing.
Comparing the two. You know why? Because you don't have an argument. That's what insecure people do. You suddenly brought in the Pac-12 to make yourselves feel better, which is totally irrelevant to the conversation. And all that you want to do is make yourselves feel better. Nobody with a brain said that. I answered it. Get over it. You guys don't know anything. You're not insiders. I don't know anything for sure. I know that Lincoln Riley was asked, and he laughed about it. That's
what
it.
insecure
Do you want to be in
people do
Baton
is they
Rouge
keep
and smell
talking
like
and don't let other
corn
people
dogs?
talk.
Don't make me put
Or do you want to be in
Most-
75 degrees year round? Done.
Most people
Who wants
laugh
to
when
smell
they
like
get
corn
nervous.
dogs? And
Yeah.
who wants to smell
I
like
want you to
jumbo
hear
and
the
corn dogs
question.
all year?
Hey,
That
have I ever
sucks.
thought about running for mayor? Of course not.
All right, hear the question correctly, and I want your answer.
I know, avoid it.
It-
No,
is
he
his
didn't do it.
path
Nobody
to
would.
the playoff. All right, listen to me. Is his path to the playoffs easier at SC or LSU?
What kind of question is that?
That's my point.
I mean, if LSU, you're saying avoided. At Oklahoma, he would have gotten to the playoffs every year, and he pretty much did.
He was
Nobody
also
cares.
going to
He's
the
a great
SEC.
coach. Again, if A&M, nobody cares. I mean, you insecure Fs are making yourself feel better. He didn't
A&M's
avoid
never made the
anything.
playoffs.
He's not worried just about going to the playoffs. He's worried about his family. He wants to raise them in a cosmopolitan area where there's a million different offerings, as opposed to, one Vietnamese restaurant. He can have 380.
He
Southern
made a lot.
California.
He made a lot of money. He could go there and coach at UC Santa
Again,
Barbara.
Where's your dinner
A&M is a
reservations
trash.
tomorrow with
A&M
Lincoln
is
Riley?
exactly anywhere. There's one good steakhouse in Chattanooga, if that. There are 713 on the West Coast.
Have you ever been to
Of course he
Clemson?
wants
There's not a
opportunities,
whole
and
lot
the
of-
private
whole lot
schools
there, and you can win
are
in
pretty
football
good.
there.
You ever been to
Again,
LSU?
Whatever you
They
want to
got
say,
some
however
really
you want
good
to
food
frame
there.
it to make yourselves feel better, go ahead. He didn't want to smell
I
like
think-
corn dogs and jumbo. He likes Southern California and everything it has to offer. He got to the playoffs just as easy at Oklahoma. This whole self-inflating,
No, the point
yes,
is
he
his
didn't go to
job-
LSU because it would have been too hard.
No,
If
Raj,
the
Texas
point is,
A&M can be good, then
you can keep
OU can be
rambling.
good
but
in the SEC.
Hold on, and listen a little.
there are
second.
more bad
He
teams
left-
than good teams. There are
he
more
left-
bad teams than good teams.
He left Oklahoma because what was coming down the pipe. He saw the writing on the wall.
That's not true.
think-
And were you
I
inside
think-
his brain, or were you in the meeting with him and his agent and his
Well,
family?
you just said he
That's-
wanted a better life
that's
for his
reckless
family in Southern
speculation.
California to eat restaurants. When did you
Well,
talk to him?
He
last?
said that. He
Okay.
said that. I did extrapolate.
Oh,
he said
wait.
just about the
God.
opportunities and things in Southern California. Of course,
I
I
will not be
extrapolated.
the
It
head
is
coach
reckless
at Alabama
speculation.
until I'm the head coach at Alabama. Look,
I mean,
you
why would
can't
you
listen to
suddenly
what people
say, "Oh,
say.
he was afraid of what's coming down the pipe"? He
No,
had like
yeah.
4 or 5
It's
stars
not.
already committed to them.
His
Yeah, that's
path
what.
is easier
It doesn't
at
make
SC
sense.
than LSU or Oklahoma. That's what I'm saying. His path now runs through Eugene, Oregon, instead of Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
The
or
SEC
Athens, Georgia.
has 16 teams, all of which are trash except for 2. If I'm going to go 14-2,
Raj,
my only loss
they-
being
no,
to Georgia or
they're
Bama,
usually
I'll go
good.
LSU.
But there's been 5 teams
Why
in
not
the
LSU?
SEC win national championships since the playoffs
So?
started.
In LSU, you may
The
have one
SEC
loss.
The SEC, it is not even
Nah.
debatable that the SEC is better in football. It's like saying the ACC is not better in basketball.
They were
It's
pretty
not
terrible a
that
couple of years
Lincoln
ago.
Riley, I think Lincoln Riley was a smart businessman. And that's what I was getting at.
That's your guys' opinion. I mean, if I'm at LSU, if I'm in the West,
this
I
is
wouldn't play.
speculation.
I'd
This is
maybe
our
play Georgia and Bama.
speculation.
I would win
Yes.
every game against the rest of the teams, the 16, 18 teams that are all trash.
All
Raj
right,
is now
let's go to
getting
James.
mad at our
Stop
opinions.
this
This is
time.
what we're all about.
No, I mean,
James,
it's the South. Your
James.
opinions were predictable.
James,
I am.
how do you feel
You're, you're
about
from the
just-
West
Lincoln
Coast.
Riley?
You blew my mind with your prediction.
How do you feel about Lincoln Riley?
I am loving this this banter back and forth between these two guys. So I do like Lincoln Riley. I do think it is an easier path a little bit for recruiting, money boosters, big name USC. You're the clear favorite. You know, to start on top is pretty good. and to get the recruits, and obviously he's already got transfer portal working in his favor. That's a pretty good deal. And then allegedly 110 mil, got his houses paid off, bought him a $6 million house in California. So I mean, how do you blame the guy? I mean, what is LSU going to offer him? They didn't, pay him some money if you want him there.
All right, so let's go to the next hire. And I'm going to be the guy that's probably on the bad end of the opinion this time. I think LSU went from trying to almost getting one of the best young minds in college football to a hire that I absolutely hate. I think LSU is a different kind of school. I think you've come from Notre Dame, which is a different kind of school too. I hated the Brian Kelly hire. Is it just me and my hate for Brian Kelly, who has been in the media? The alleged story that broke about him having his assistants at Grand Valley State park cars at a party, to the stuff that's came out about he was recruiting for Notre Dame as they hired him. There's some shady stuff to Brian Kelly. I think with LSU, it is really a more regional university than maybe any school in the nation. Louisiana is a different place. I guess Texas and Louisiana are just kind of different personalities. I think you brought a guy from Notre Dame that just doesn't fit the school. Robbie Davis, am I off my rocker, and is Brian Kelly a home run hire?
Well, fit. I mean, they just had Orgeron, who was a perfect fit, and I mean, he won a championship, but didn't work out. It goes back to why I think it's the best job. The last three coaches that won a championship, they've all left. Like you can win there. Saban took the faucet off the talent, kept him in state. My thing with Kelly, he wins everywhere he goes. But so he's 263 and 96 and 2 ties. That's a great winning percentage. Surface, great. Red flag, he's 6-5 in bowl games. That's worrisome. So with time to prepare, not so great. He's had 2 bad seasons at Notre Dame, and that's an 8-5 followed by a 4-8 season. That gets you fired in the SEC. There is no coming back from that. But he's only had 5 losses in the last 3 years. He recruits the South. I think he's going to do well. Now, well is subjective to my expectations versus what LSU's expectations are. Hey, you pay a guy $95 million at LSU, you better not lose to Saban. You better not lose to Jimbo. And so it's like Notre Dame's a pressure cooker, but LSU's different. It is. They will. You can win a championship and they'll run you out of town. There's. Brian Kelly doesn't get 13 years at LSU with that record and no championship. He just doesn't.
All right, Raj. I thought early they had it done with Lincoln Riley. Did y'all notice that Oklahoma State was playing Colin Baton Rouge in timeouts during the game? So little shot at Lincoln Riley. 2, Brian Kelly. How do you rate the drop between the two?
I mean, Notre Dame has gone through periods where even prior to Brian Kelly, many people said you just can't win there. It's in the middle of the country. The academics standards are much higher compared to some conferences.
Academic standards at Notre Dame are as high as they are anywhere.
No, it's not true. Well, compared to LSU?
Higher.
All right, we're not a little bit higher. Anyway,
I've not seen any school but Notre Dame turned down kids because of grades lately. I'll put it that way.
I mean, kids do. They're maybe not even recruiting them. So how would you know? Done. Mic drop. Anyways.
Hey,
Brian
you're in
Kelly,
somebody's
I mean,
mind already.
I'm talking, what if Notre Dame makes the playoff and he abandoned that team before they went to the playoff? What if they, by some miracle, win the national championship? I mean, he couldn't have waited. He was already talking to them. He couldn't have waited till after the bowl game to announce it, regardless
He
of the
wasn't
pressure.
going to win it anyway. Look
And
at his record.
you remember in 2016, after going 4-8, there people were talking about firing him. He sacrificed his offensive and defensive coordinator, mainly the defensive coordinator, Brian Van Gordon, just fired them and got 2 new ones, and they did much better. So that's the type of guy he is. You know, I don't want to get fired. Let's fire these 2 and keep me. And that's what happened. He is a much stricter coach than Ed Orgeron ever will be. I mean, Orgeron is like, hey, come on over, have some gumbo before the game. That's my Cajun accent. But no, I mean, is he a proven winner? Is he proven this and that? I thought it was an interesting hire, and he's getting more money than, I guess, anybody until the next coach is hired and until Saban re-ups. I don't know what – I think he's getting $15 million or something. But, yeah, I thought it was a very curious hire. I don't think LSU is the best program in the country like Rob does, but you know it's a cool place to live and go see a game. Not to live; it's a cool place to see a game.
All right, Brendan, I almost know Brian Kelly into a pseudo Pac-10 coach. And is he that?
He lives in the gray area. He's lived there for 12, 13 years. I mean, Notre Dame is nowhere. They're here, they're everywhere, they're nowhere. They're, who they play in. Why are they always ranked in the top 5 or top 10? It's completely gray area for me. So he's been to the playoffs, 4 or 5 times? I don't know the statistic on that. Not won a championship. Notre Dame hasn't won a championship since 1988. He's done nothing there but recruit some, halfway good players or some decent NFL players. I agree. I think he'll do better in LSU. And it's easier to win a championship there because their in-state recruiting is not a whole lot of competition. They've got great athletes there. That's why Robbie says it's one of the better jobs. There's not a lot of in-state competition. I think the big name initially is going to help out. But what does he do when he gets to the playoffs? We haven't seen him prove anything, and to just kind of throw out this kind of money for a big name baffles me, to be honest. I don't see it. I don't see him even, winning an SEC championship. So that's my opinion.
Randall, I will say this to your point about it could be a complete disaster. If you just think about the people, the recruiters circling the wagons around Louisiana. You got Jimbo, you got Nick, you got Kirby, and you got Billy Naiper, who are all of a sudden, if Kelly comes in and can't connect to the high schools there, and those players start leaving, you're looking at LSU from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. So he's got to get in there and make good relationships. If he does, a decent coach can win there, and that's been shown. A great coach, I'm convinced, can dominate.
It's interesting. I think the schools that have the most to win is maybe the 2 Mississippi schools. If Lane Kiffin can start pulling kids out of Louisiana to Ole Miss, you're talking about a different dynamic than those 2 schools. In Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Stark's going to get kids out of there. Nick Saban's going to get kids out of there, but there's such a talent. But I want to move on. I think your point's very, Very, very true. A lot of people know we are all based, except for Chain, out of the Chattanooga area. Billy Naiper from this area played high school football at Mary County High School, right across the state line, in Chatsworth, Georgia. Napier had a lot of ties to this area. In 2016, Tennessee made a huge push to hire Napier on the staff. Goes to Nick Saban, is a recruiting monster. 16 to 18, he was Rivals' superstar recruiter. He goes to Louisiana. He goes from Alabama to Arizona State 1 year, then back to Louisiana, where he has more success than any coach in Louisiana history. He gets the Florida job. Great resume to me, but he's 38 years old. They hired the opposite of Dan Mullen. Dan Mullen was a great X and O guy who couldn't recruit. We don't know what Billy Napier is on the X and O side yet. You got to think he's pretty good. But Billy Napier is a superstar recruiter, 38 years old. I think I like this hire for Florida. As a Tennessee fan, I hate it, but I think I like this hire for Florida, Robbie.
Yeah, so I was researching him. I've heard about his name, and he came up when Tennessee was open. So a really good resume. He's worked under Saban, Dabo, Jimbo. He's only had one head coaching job, but he's done well at it, 39-12. He 4 times won his conference, 1 time won his division, 1 time won his conference, coach of the year. The pause I have is your biggest strength is recruiting. It's Florida.
True.
Like that should be goes the territory. You win, recruits come, kind of like what we said about LSU. Like Miami's down, Florida State's down, but then I say that, but then Mullen didn't do it, and I'm like, what? And like I thought Mullen would have been a home run hire, and he won the East. And then, but the most fascinating assistant that Billy Napier was Jim McElwain. And so I'm sure he had to talk to him about this Florida job, which has kind of been cancerous in a way that McElwain went to 2 SEC championships in a row, bad year, fired. Mullen finished second in the East SEC championship, bad year, fired. But I assume he reached out to him and said, hey, should I take this job or not? And he had to tell him yes, which kind of leads me to be like, what's going on at Florida? And is it a coach? Is it the program? This just seems toxic to me. It almost reminds me of a certain school in Knoxville where the boosters, the athletic directors, the presidents aren't on the same page about what's going on. So the hire may be great, and he may win the East, and then he may have a bad year and get fired. I just don't know what's going on in Florida anymore. I don't know what to expect.
Rod, when you heard Billy Napier had gotten this job, and I guess I know more about Napier. I did cover him a little bit in high school, so I kind of had a affinity for him, so I followed his career. I in my head, on a national stage, this was truly an unknown that got the Florida job, which is easily a top 10 job.
Mm-hmm.
What was your reaction when you heard it was Napier, Rod?
I thought it was beyond a home run. He is a good recruiter. He's very smart. They play in the Sun Belt, which basically you may as well have handed that title to Appy State every year. Case in point, this year, Louisiana beat Appalachian State 41-13. In the coaches prior to Napier, from 1986 through 2017, it was a 39% winning percentage, 138 wins and 210 losses. And I know the coaches too, if anybody cares, Bussell, Hudspeth, Stokely, and Baldwin.
And this was, for the folks that
Napier.
don't realize, I think a lot of folks don't realize because they changed the university name. This is Louisiana Lafayette. Everybody's homecoming game for the last 30 years. Go ahead with your point.
Raging Cajuns.
Mm-hmm.
Are they the Raging Cajuns?
Yeah,
They are.
Okay,
They
good.
are.
That's who I researched. But back to Napier. Since 2017, Napier is 39-12. That's a winning percentage of 76.4%. Wow. I don't think it's probably easy to win in Lafayette, Louisiana. Actually, I know it's not. I stopped at a Cracker Barrel once, me and my buddies, when we were on I-10, and we were like, where the hell is this place? Wonderfully nice people, but I didn't know where we are. He turned that program around. He brought good players to, Coastal Carolina is one thing. That's on the coast in a beautiful state near the beach, and to Louisiana. I mean, he's a proven winner. He's young, aggressive, smart. I mean, Florida, who was the guy that humped a shark when he was naked? Is that McElvain? That was hilarious. There's a picture of him humping a shark.
It wasn't.
Who hasn't done that?
Allegedly.
It turned out what?
You live in Florida. I mean, come on.
He went.
Florida man.
He actually presented proof that it wasn't him, that it got so viral.
Well, I'm just going to pretend it was because this was hilarious. Yeah, I got thrown myself off track, but outstanding hire. Florida is going to be back, in my opinion. The wheels aren't going to fall off with this dude. I think, like USC, they hit a home run.
All right, Shane, you're a Big Ten guy. You're not that down south. Follow college football. Tell me what you thought of Napier.
I think it's a fantastic hire. I think, with his recruiting experience, like the record Raj just put out, his winning percentages, you put that in a Florida situation where recruits just already flow in, and then you take a guy that can delegate and hire the right people. That's going to put Florida back on the map for sure. The talent's going to be there. And you look at his proven record, winning at those kind of schools, coaching his ass off, people are going to follow him. He's a young, up-and-coming guy. Like, they're going to follow that guy. Florida's going to be back on the map. I would say, give them 3-4 years. They're going to be solid.
Just for comparison, Napier was 39-12 in the Sun Belt. Dan Mullen was 35-15 in the SEC and got fired. It's a different world.
It is a different world that we live in. So, guys, you were right, Robbie. I didn't realize how much we're going to get derailed on this. This was the whole show right here. But let's
3 topics.
Yeah. Let's talk about one more thing with this. There is still a very big job, in my opinion, another top 10 job open at Oklahoma that Lincoln Riley just left. Stoops has taken interim. Everybody, including, I guess, except for me, just automatically gave this job to Brent Venables. But if you were going to give it to Venables, don't you already have him hired? I mean, if that was your guy, you knew the day Lincoln Riley walked away, that was your guy. Is he not already in place? Brendan, start with you on this one.
You would think so. I mean, that's the reckless speculation going on right now. I don't know what they're waiting on. I don't know who else is, potential hire. That's been the top name that I've heard. But there's got to be some reason that he's not hired yet, and they're not getting it done. So I don't know what that is. I'll let you guys speculate on that.
All right, Robbie. Speculation's your job. Throw it out there.
So if I'm looking at this job, I look at – let me tell you if this sounds familiar. The last championship game, they won a championship in 1985, and their next championship was in 2000. They've been really good for a long time and haven't got over that hump. So what I would be worried about is I'm going into a team, while they haven't won over the top, they've been really, really good for a long time. So I'm replacing the chosen one, and I don't know what the future looks like. Are we in the SEC West? Are we in a pod system? What's our pod look like? What's like there's just so much unknown. If I'm Brent Venables, do I just wait and have a good job security? Because you're not moving yourself, you're also moving your families, coaches you're bringing with you. Until the SEC kind of tells me what Oklahoma and Texas look like, how they fit in, I'm a little worried about a coach because that's a high-profile job, and they're wanting to hire coaches from a high-profile, I assume, relatively safe position. And I'm not sure that's going to be an easy hire. When it's Oklahoma, you can still recruit nationally. It's still a national brand. They're going to get – there's a lot going for it, but there's a lot of unknowns that would make me step back and be like, wait, do I just hold on for a second?
Raj, we have your opinion on Lincoln Riley, and I do think he's a great coach. But are you not stepping into an actually bad situation in Oklahoma where you have Spencer Rattler just left? Caleb Williams, to me, sounds like he's leaving. But as Robbie broke early on in this podcast, Notre Dame hired an assistant.
Is that a done deal? I don't know.
Is there a reason not to hire somebody like Venable with no head coaching assistant experience? Let me spit that out. No head coaching experience.
I mean, I guess the reason would be no head coaching experience, but Venables has been an assistant coach, and he's been right there with Dabo every stretch of the way. We know what he can do with defense, and, Oklahoma does need defensive help. Offensively, he can pull in whatever guy he wants. Who doesn't want to go to, to Clemson's a power program and work with him? A lot of people are speculating Matt Campbell as well, the Iowa State coach who's been up for every major job in the last 3 years. He's a Midwest guy. By the way, Brent Venables was born in Salina, Kansas. Kansas is that state. It's Garden City Community College in Kansas State. Kansas is Oklahoma's hat. They are right next up, one above the other. The distance from there to Oklahoma City is like 3 hours. He still has family in Kansas. And, if you're a Midwest guy, you're a Midwest guy. I think all the stars are aligning here. All their coordinators basically left. If he wants to go close to home and see extended family, I think you have to go that route. And, yeah, Notre Dame went with Marcus Freeman. There are whispers of that, too. That was an excellent hire, amazing recruiter, amazing defensive coordinator. It made that easy for them. I'm sure people were clamoring for some huge name, but that was the right move. And I think Venables, Oklahoma, is the right move. If not him, then probably Matt Campbell. But stars are aligning with Venables to OU.
Let me ask all of you guys this. Like, where does this leave Luke Fickle? Like, I mean, he's the hottest coaching name, and then we assumed it was going to be him in Notre Dame. And then, like, if you're Oklahoma, don't you call him and say, hey, because, like, I think Venables is going to be a good coach. The problem is, does Oklahoma want to swing from the offensive pendulum all the way to a defensive head coach? I don't know if you want to do that. And the recruits that have been looking at you, like, and I don't know if that's the way you want to go. But, I mean, where is Luke Fickle?
So I had this big whole spill on Luke Fickle before breaking news that Notre Dame hired their D coordinator. So
It's not a done deal, I don't think.
well, it's pretty much a done deal. Anyway, so this to me, Cincinnati and Notre Dame on paper are the same team. Okay, so you look at the schedules and who they play on paper, especially this year. They obviously played each other. But you look at Notre Dame and the money power, the schedule's bigger. They've got this gray area, uplift that always are top 10 ranked preseason. They always start ahead. What Luke Fickle did at Cincinnati has been pretty incredible. You put him in that same situation in Notre Dame, I think he can win, and I think he wins a national championship there. But where he's at now, I have no idea. Like, that was my whole thing. Like, I thought for sure he was going to go to Notre Dame. Oklahoma makes sense somewhat. I mean, again, it's an easier road to where he's at right now. Like, he had to work his butt off to get there. They had to win a lot of games, and that signature win over Notre Dame. But man, I don't know. I was at a shock when we heard that earlier. So
Reckless speculation. Oh, go ahead, Randall.
Well, I'm about to do some reckless speculation, so I'm going to let you go first.
Okay. So, reckless speculation. The Notre Dame AD came out earlier this week, either yesterday or as soon as the Kelly hire was announced, and said they're going to be patient and they're going to wait. And then today, to announce they're hiring their D coordinator, doesn't seem like a vote of confidence. And now I know it's hard for a lot of people to think people would turn down Notre Dame, but we've been talking about these conferences, these super conferences for a while. It is possible they reached out to Fickle, and Fickle said, I don't like where y'all are lining up as this new thing is happening. You can see the tea leaves and say, hey, there's a world where Notre Dame is with the other people. They won't join conferences. It's not as outlandish as it once was, that Notre Dame's not a big player. And
I agree.
That's not where the TV money is. And so it's possible they got turned down. And then they just went with – because the AD was clear, we're going to wait, and then turn around and say, I think it's pretty
100%.
high too. But it's possible they got turned down.
I totally agree. I think that's probably what happened because he was the perfect fit right there to slide in. Like I said, I mean, synonymous scheduling with Cincinnati. It was just, a more amped up, bigger place to win. I think it was an easier road there, but obviously he saw different if that was what happened.
So I listened to an Oklahoma podcast today purely for the reason I wanted to see if they said the name Josh Heupel in any candidate, and they did not. His name never came up. And I'm going to go around the horn. This will be the last, will not be the last subject about coaching, but which it's a 24/7 podcast, so there's some there is some legitimacy in their media. They very much made it sound like they felt like Venables was the guy from day one, but they had been a mystery candidate reach out to them and show interest in the job. Their mystery candidate was Matt Rule. Is there a world you leave the NFL to go to Oklahoma? Robbie, you're shaking your head no.
No. You do not voluntarily leave the NFL to go to college. Not only do you have to recruit 16, 17, 18-year-olds, with the transfer portal, you have to recruit your own team now on a daily basis. You have to make sure everyone's happy inside your building or they're going to transfer. Other coaches recruiting. No, you do not leave the comfort of the NFL. The NFL is a more competitive, it's more stressful, but you know what? You can go 10-6, make the playoffs, and make a run. It's not a 24/7, 365 job like college is. Yes, if you're obsessed with it, you can recruit 365. You can get your own players, you can get your own team in there and win. But if you have a smart GM, then no, you can't tell me Andy Reid's life is not better than Nick Saban's life.
Point taken. All right, let's hit a couple more topics. Raj.
Whoa! I didn't get to answer that.
Yeah, I'm going to give you another question too. I want you to hit both of them. Go ahead with the first one, and then I'll swing the next one around.
Could you rephrase the first one again, please?
Is there a world that you leave?
Like a damn doctor in a deposition. You don't understand the question?
Is there a world?
If it's criminal, I take the fifth.
Is there a world that you go from the Carolina Panthers to the Oklahoma Sooners?
No. That's what Robbie said. We talked about working harder or working smarter. 5 times the work, sitting in living rooms, dealing with kids versus professionals. He may take that job, but that's after he gets fired at Carolina.
All right. Shane, hit the same question.
No.
I'll run it back.
That's exactly what I was going to say. The only way you take that job is if you're on your way out at Carolina. So I don't think he is. You're not taking that.
Shane, has Miami waited too long to make a move? And all these other moves that's been made. Now, Miami, who won 3 games out to finish the season, are they stuck? Not stuck. Are they now going to keep Manny Diaz as their head coach? Because a lot of the dice have already tumbled.
I think if they fire Diaz, then it's Kiffin. Kiffin's going. I think Kiffin will leave. He's got Florida ties. He's so Miami. I mean, I can see Kiffin in that gold chain on the sideline. I mean, that's straight up Kiffin. Like, yeah. I mean, I don't see any other out. If they fire him, Kiffin's got to be the guy.
Raj, that kind of led into the next question. Is it too late for Miami? And is Lane Kiffin now the only guy that's out there that hasn't been really moved yet? That is that primetime hire?
I think so. First, I want to address Fickle real quick. USC was looking at him, talking to him. Everybody was. He was kind of a jerk about it, which is understandable. You know, he wants to focus on his own team. He was considered the number one. I think Robbie or Chain said that. You know, the top coach that's going to be out there, presumably. For him to watch everybody cut in line in front of him is kind of funny, if you ask me. He's a Midwest guy, so I don't see him going to Miami or whatnot. Yeah, Kiffin is meant for Miami, but I mean, he could do really well there. He likes the sun, but you know, Ole Miss is a beautiful campus with beautiful students. He's obviously doing really well there. He's getting a lot of kids to go there. So another thing though is Oregon, crystal ball. There's been rumors that, they would let him go for the right coach. And I agree with that. And if Fickle, he's a Midwest guy, but think about what he could do at Oregon. Yeesh. So, yeah, there could be programs where a coach would leave, thereby, like how Riley left, thereby creating an opening at OU, and obviously the same with Brian Kelly. So who knows? It may be another guy gets hired and creates an opening. I think Miami's a little flashy. I could see him at Oregon or perhaps filling in a spot if somebody else gets hired elsewhere.
Raj, you said, hold on 1 second. You said everybody cutting in front of Fickle except the people that are not in the playoffs, right? So people in the playoffs are not cutting in front of Fickle. Those coaches. Everyone else is.
Well, Brian Kelly kind of did. In terms of the line to get hired. Didn't Brian Kelly do that?
He's not in the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm not saying – I'm just talking about the eligible candidates. Obviously, Saban's not going anywhere. Kirby Smart's not going anywhere. So, maybe he overplayed his hand. I don't know. We're also going to find out if he can coach next year. There is a lot of talent coming back, but I looked it up, and for all of the all-conference Cincinnati players, and there's a lot of them in their conference, the All-American, there are, I think, 7 seniors that are all leaving. Plus Amon Gardner, their cornerback, he's going NFL for sure. He's really good. But obviously Desmond Ritter, a number of defensive players.
They have 30 seniors on their team right now.
They have way more. And plus these are all conference guys. I don't know what the recruiting's been like. I would go there if I was one of those kids, but we're going to find out if he can coach real soon. And that's probably why, I thought he was a done deal. I thought he was going to bounce for sure, and that was one of the reasons. Those 7 or 8 are just the all-conference team.
Yeah, but can you bounce
overall.
Can you bounce on your team when you're number 4 in the playoffs and you're going to the playoffs? You can't bounce
unless you're
Brian Kelly.
No, with that school, this is a one-time.
Brian Kelly did bounce on
once in a lifetime thing for. That's the consequence. I admire him. This is a once in a lifetime thing for Cincinnati, and he didn't want to distract from his kids now.
Yeah.
So if he gets hired, it'll be because somebody else gets fired.
Yeah, you have to stick it out, though, right?
If your goal is to be an NFL head coach, you wait this cycle out because NFL jobs are coming in about 5 or 6 weeks.
For sure.
Is that possible? Robbie Davis, last words on coaches.
Yeah, so of everything that's happened, all these coaching jobs, I would be the most shocked if Kiffin took the Miami job. To me, that would be just, what are you thinking? Since the Orange Bowl closed, when they used to play in the Orange Bowl, it was rowdy, it was Miami, it was the U. Since they moved to Hard Rock or whatever the Dolphin Stadium's called now, it's further off campus. It's South Beach, like what we saw in Southern Cal, UCLA, LSU. No one's at the games unless they are good. Kiffin already has loyalty, and like Raj said, Ole Miss, Oxford's nothing to laugh at if you're the god on campus. Like, I do not go down to a rebuild when I just won 10 games at Ole Miss. I see the tea leaves. Saban's only going to be there for so much longer. Auburn's they're fading off. No, I would be as shocked as anything if Kiffin left Ole Miss right now. He's beloved. He seems happy.
Sorry.
And the ACC is irrelevant for 9 weeks out of the season. There's Miami, Florida State, which isn't even good anymore. And there's Clemson, Virginia Tech. There's a couple of good games, but
money's a powerful thing. And you
Okay,
throw out
this is what I think is
Ole
gonna
Miss
happen.
can pocket up what Miami can pocket up.
This rumor is gaining steam, and this is what I think is going to happen. I think Luke Fickle is going to get his dream job because Ryan Day will be coaching the Chicago Bears. That will open up the job at Ohio State. There have been rumors of his interest. Of course, we don't know.
That's just
That's the speculation, but if he wants to coach in the
reckless
pros,
speculation. It is not happening.
it is. But if he wants to coach in the pros and coach Justin Fields, no better city than Chicago.
Yeah.
He's a Midwest guy. Chicago
That's-
is
You know
the
who-
Midwest.
You know what started
maybe
that?
that's what
You know
Fickle's
what
doing.
started these rumors is a Ohio State Buckeye forum where people would love to marry Ryan Day back with Justin Fields just because he lost to Michigan. Do you think he's going to leave after he lost to Michigan? Are you kidding me?
Hey.
There's no way in hell. No way.
What you call that? That's not reckless speculation. That's Jimmy Sexton 101.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get all my coaches paid.
All right, guys. We had so much.
Maybe his dream is to be an NFL coach.
It is not.
NFL coach in the Bears, I'd have to jump. That's a Midwest, probably a team he grew up with. You'd have to jump. I don't know. I mean, we don't know.
Yeah, and beat Urban Meyer one day.
It makes sense. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
All right,
That would
guys.
actually be awesome. But
We have to head into our weekly segments before we hit 100 minutes. We just did 97 minutes on coaches searches. So we had so much more show. Let's
How
hope
long did we
baseball doesn't end up in a lockout. That's the one thing I'm going to say. Is anybody you would like to put on upset alert this week? Because I have one. I'll let anybody else go first.
Sorry, I missed that. Could you say it again, please?
I'll let anybody else go first.
I'll put Oklahoma State on upset alert. I mean, they're
no.
the closest matchup. Baylor has potential. I mean, they're well coached. I just don't know if I trust Oklahoma State. That'd be my one if I put anyone on upset alert. But I think it's going to be pretty chalk this weekend.
Brendan Jane, you got one?
It's vanilla. I mean, I think I'm going to take Oregon over Utah.
It's a good one.
I think they're -3. I mean, it's super vanilla. Like, whatever. Blah.
Hey, it's hard to beat a team twice.
I know.
Oregon played in Rice-Eccles on a Friday night. That stadium, I think they're like 50-0 on a Friday night. It's insane. Cold weather. I mean, Oregon had no chance in that game. They are a 3-point underdog. I don't know why, but Appalachian State is a 3-point favorite over Louisiana. Louisiana beat them 41-13. Maybe Appy State didn't have their quarterback. I have no idea. But
is Napier coaching the game, or did he already leave?
He's gone.
That must be the case.
Yeah.
I'm still taking Louisiana. Win with his guys. I mean, they crushed them last time.
Yeah.
Sure, an assistant coach. But yeah,
Yeah,
I
you got to see a coordinator step up there.
Yeah, and I'm about to go bet on Louisiana right now because I think that's going to come down to even, if not the other way.
Reckless speculation. I'm going to put.
That's probably my bet your nuts too.
I'm putting the Georgia Bulldogs on upset alert, and here's why. Georgia's schedule, not by Georgia's fault, to me, is weak. The East was a train wreck. The Clemson game, Georgia scheduled. Clemson is obviously not Clemson. I think Alabama's had to grind to get here. I think this vaunted Georgia defense, if it has a situation that they are susceptible to, it is a running quarterback. I hate Nick Saban, but his back's against the wall, so I'm going to take Nick Saban. I'm going to put the Georgia Bulldogs on an upset alert, and I'll start my bet your nuts with I'm taking Alabama plus 6.5.
Oh, you
Versus,
got to go money line after all that talk.
Yeah, go money, straight money line.
I'm not going to
Yeah.
go money line with my real money. I'm taking my 6.5. But that is my pick. Robbie Davis, my bet your nuts. Alabama beats Georgia money line. Robbie Davis.
So mine's a little difficult because the lines aren't out yet. So this is going to be more of a generic confidence kind of thing.
Is this NASCAR for 2022?
Not yet.
Okay.
But the Volunteers travel to Boulder this weekend, and they're going to play a talented Colorado team with a huge front line. So I project let me pull up Ken Palm real quick and see what his projections are. That'll give us an idea
Man,
of
I
what the
think I
line.
saw this right before we came on a futures line. I think it was Tennessee minus
Colorado's
2.
not going to be great.
My-
They have
So,
struggled
so
somewhat
Tennessee's
recently. That's a tough place to play.
Ken Palm says Tennessee by 3. So I'll take that as the line. 3.5. Colorado's got a great front line. They're going to be big. They're going to be tall. They're going to rebound a lot.
Big.
The problem is you got the 3-point shooters against what it's not a good matchup. Tennessee, I think, is going to wear them out. They're going to score 2s. Tennessee's going to score 3s. It becomes a mathematical game. What the Warriors changed the game. Tennessee's adapted. This team can shoot really, really well, and Kennedy Chandler is a stud. Tennessee comes into Boulder. They win by 5 or more.
Before we move on, I ate prime rib with Steve Hamer from the Vols Legends from the 1980s this weekend.
Nice.
7 foot tall.
Nice.
Who's up next? Let's go with Roger Mehta. What's your bet?
I think I'm the last one. Oh, it's Chain. I mean, you guys heard it. I'm going with Louisiana over Appy State. Now, like Robbie, college basketball is my thing. By the way, the Pac-12 kicked off. Number 20 USC, number 17 in some is facing Utah at home tonight. 11:30 East, 8:30 West. So just FYI. I finally found a site that gives college basketball lines, so I'm looking at it quickly. Colorado did lose to Southern Illinois. They are big,
really
but they
solid
lost a couple guys. They can play defense. They lost a couple guys. The big dude, Evan Batty, he's been there for like 18 years. He looks like, I don't know, Fat Albert. I'm not sure, but yeah, I'm trying to read college basketball lines quickly for tomorrow. They haven't posted a lot for tomorrow, but yeah, I'll go with Louisiana.
All right, Shane.
I got 2 of them. One, I'm going USC over Cal plus 4. New hire, Lincoln Riley. They're going to be pumped up. These guys are going to win the game. My second one is next week. Raj being late by 2 minutes. Over under plus 100.
Nice.
Awesome.
Nice. All right.
Hey, who
Take
wants that
that over?
action? Come on, Rob. I would take
Oh,
it over.
that's easy money.
Yeah. We're
That's
taking the
pretty-
under.
Yeah, under.
And on my honor, I would not do it just because I like Chain the best of you guys. I would not make him win. I'm literally mindless, and I'm not going to do it intentionally. I will likely be late.
I know you will.
Final words from me
Hey, dude,
tonight.
we call it IST. Indian Standard Time is an hour and a half after the start of an event, IST. So I'm being early, actually. I mean, that's the way I see it.
It's relative,
Final
Raj.
words
So there.
from me tonight is Chattanooga has its first opportunity the voters just approved the lockout to happen at midnight, by the way, breaking news. Chattanooga has its first chance to hold the Blue Cross Blue Shield Bowl this weekend in lovely Finley Stadium. We have a couple of local teams and a couple of semi-local teams playing. Thursday, Macaulay plays. On Friday, South Pittsburgh plays, along with Tullahoma playing Saturday. If you get a chance, go out and support this event. It's an event that should be in Chattanooga. It's been hosted in Cookeville, which I thought was horrible up until this year. So if you get a chance, please go one day. I will be there Friday night. I'm going to see South Pittsburgh play, who is near and dear to my heart. I covered both South Pittsburgh and McKenzie this year, so I'll watch that game. And then at 7 o'clock, the greatness plays. Alcoa wins another 3A state championship, so I'll hang around and watch some Alcoa. But please, if you have nothing to do this weekend, go watch the final week of Tennessee high school football at Finley Stadium in beautiful Chattanooga, Tennessee. Brendan Chain, what's your closing words?
Closing words.
Besides,
I really enjoy
going to the NFL.
Ryan Day is not going to the NFL. That's not even a question. No, I'm just saying I really enjoy this podcast. I enjoy talking and shooting the crap with you guys. A lot of good insight, a lot of reckless speculation going on. It's always fun. I love it. Please tune in every week. We actually do try hard here. So, yeah, please support us if you can.
Like and follow, which we suck at saying. Like and follow. Give us 5-star ratings. Robbie, you already spoke, so you're going next.
So in my endless quest to fix scheduling for sports, I want to touch base with college basketball for a little bit. So I was in Savannah over the Thanksgiving week, and so Sunday to Thursday, I was able to, bar hop and do different things. And there was always a basketball game on that I could watch all during the day, the night for Thanksgiving week. It's perfection. And don't follow that up with the ACC Big Ten Challenge this week when football's going on. You wait till the Christmas after Christmas to New Year, leading up to the bowl games when the NFL's dead. Everyone's at home with their families. Put the challenges. Put the big SEC Big 12 challenge, Big 10 or Big 12 challenge. Put the Big 10 ACC challenge. Put that during that week. It would be awesome. And that leads right up to conference play. I'm just destined to be a conference commissioner.
I like it. I like it. All right, Raj Mehta. Or as we
wait. Oh, sorry. One last word before I go. I want to congratulate Brandon on beating me in the toilet bowl. All signs look to my most embarrassing year. My most embarrassing year as an adult. I've got to win not even a play. I have to win a consolation game to avoid finishing in last. A lot of pressure.
And a 24-hour stay in the local Waffle House.
That's right. One more thing. Congratulations to Buckeyes basketball beating Duke last night. So.
That was an awesome game.
Yeah, heck yeah. It's going to be
Congratulations to the Georgia Bulldogs who just beat Memphis.
Yeah.
The 2-5 Georgia Bulldogs upset Memphis. Should we refer to you as Riley Mehta from here on out, or is it going to be Raj Lincoln? Just which way are you going to go with it?
I'm pretty
man of the people.
I'm a statesman, and yes, I am very democratic. I'm tall. I used to be skinny. I'll go with Lincoln.
All
It's
right,
like
Trailblazer
Carol just had a
time.
child.
Hey, I was gonna ask Rob, do you pay for Ken Palm? Because I don't know where you saw those odds. We
yeah.
can talk about it after this.
Yeah, of course I'll
Okay,
pay
you
for
pay
Kim
for it?
Palm. Actually, me and Aaron split
Okay.
it year after year, but yeah, we have a Kim Palm membership.
But you on mute, Rob. You shouldn't say that out loud. Okay, go ahead, Raj.
Oh, sorry.
Well, I was going to talk about my alma mater, UC San Diego, one of them, that made the jump last year into Division I and was winning consistently. They were undefeated. They beat Cal, first time beating a Pac-12 school. They lost the last two games, so I'm going to switch gears and talk about Chattanooga basketball. UTC, I'm not a homer. That's a damn good team. They have that John Baptiste back again, a floor general. They have the Kansas five-star who transferred and had some trouble in the past with De Silva. I can't think of his name right now. But he's coming together. They play well as a team. De Silva, thank you. Everybody came back. People had said Furman or Wofford in that conference. It's Chattanooga. Not only do I think they're going to the tournament, not only do I think Jimmy Kimmel's going to be happy, because the last time they went, like 20 years ago, Jimmy Kimmel always picks one team, and he picked Chattanooga, partially in jest, but he asked the world, what is a mock? I'm not sure ever. But they're going to be good, and I think they will beat one, maybe two teams. You don't want to run into this team. I assure you that, and I think they're going to win their conference, and I could see them winning one or two games in the tournament. So watch out and watch Chattanooga basketball. People in Chattanooga, it's a great product. Go check them out, and they're super fun to watch. So, yep, that's awesome. And case in point, like what Shane said, I mean, Gonzaga barely beats Tarleton State. Duke beats them. Then Ohio State beats Duke. It's going to be a hell of a ride this year. Watch college basketball. Hell of a ride.
Well, talk to us in
I
April.
think this has a chance to be one of the greatest seasons ever. And just trivia, I can't believe Purdue's never been number one before.
Dude, they look like the best team in the country right now.
Yeah.
Like
They are really good.
They are legit.
And to Roger's point about the mocks, they are 6-1, have already beat basketball powers Loyola Marymount, have beat UNC Asheville. They have their one loss was a 2-point loss to VCU at a last second shot to win it. They have
I didn't know they lost.
Yeah, they lost to VCU Saturday.
To Charleston.
And they was it Charleston? No, they beat Charleston.
It was Charleston, 68-66, and there was a tip at the buzzer. Oh,
yeah,
brutal.
Right, I had it backwards. They beat VCU 56-54. So that's them playing up in the mid-major level and having some success. It's a great basketball team. Maybe we'll go do a show from there one night and just from the stands do a reckless speculation. I think I could get that approved.
Love it.
Possibly. So
I'm looking at it real quick. Malachi Smith, one of their best players, a Wright State transfer, was 2 for 11 in that game. He usually averages 16. That's probably the reason why everybody else was pretty steady, but they're better than Charleston. I was hoping they were still undefeated. They lost as on a tip as time expired. That's brutal. So, it happened. Somebody didn't box out, but they're still a hell of a team to watch, and I'm looking forward to them coming home.
Guys, this show didn't suck tonight. So for Randall Cunningham, Raj Mehta, Brendan Chain,
They never suck.
Robbie Davis, we'll not try to suck again next weekend. I really thought we had something to be proud of this week. So we'll see you next
We've never sucked.
Wednesday and try not to suck again. Thank you all.
Yeah, what are you talking about? We never suck.